let's talk about this, right? What I want to do today is really talk about the price of success and if you're willing to pay it or if you're willing not to pay it, right? So let's get into it. Let's sort of talk about this and let's get it going. So I appreciate everybody with the love and support today. No days off on helping the people out because I do it for the people. I don't do it so I can sell courses off of you, right? I mean, I ain't no stinking broke guru. So let's have some conversations. Let's really, I want to talk about some things that's going to be comfortable or uncomfortable for a lot of people. What I think this conversation is, it's going to be very uncomfortable for a lot of people that don't want to pay the price of success. And for the people that are comfortable, they're willing to take it. So let's talk about this. The first thing you need to understand here is nobody remembers a loser. And I'm not saying that as a mean thing. I'm not saying that as something that's offensive or anything like, but like, I'm saying this, it's a double-edged sword. Yes, it seems bad, but it's actually very good. And what I mean by nobody remembers a loser, and what I mean by nobody remembers a loser is I'm not calling anybody a loser. Like if you haven't got your first deal, you're not a loser, right? But think about this. Nobody will remember if you lose. And this is one thing I want everyone to understand. If you get into wholesaling and you don't do well, or you fail after a year or two, nobody's honestly after a year or two like going to remember it. And this is sort of like, I think everyone can kind of relate to this in like high school or middle school or heck, even elementary school, when you did something really embarrassing. Like, so everybody watching this, if you grew up in the United States, for elementary, middle, or high school, you did something embarrassing, right? Like you tripped during PE and everybody saw, or like something very embarrassing that you thought the world was ending when you were like 10 or 11 years old, right? The whole school knew about it. Oh my gosh, it's the most embarrassing thing ever, right? The thing is, honestly, most people don't remember it. And if you really lose in wholesaling, no one's really going to remember it. And like, it's not that bad. Like it just, nobody really cares. And that's a more of a fundamental lesson in life that honestly at your funeral, which for everyone watching is going to be very far in the future, but at your funeral, honestly, when it's over, a month or two later, your family members and your loved ones are going to remember you forever. But like everybody outside of that's not really like, they'll remember you, but they're not going to be thinking of you all the time, and you're going to get forgotten pretty quick. It's the same thing that I think about for becoming successful. Truly outside of my family and loved ones, whenever I pass away, no one's really going to remember me too much. Like I'm not, let's say we think about 5,000 years from now, okay? The richest trade merchants, the richest Venetians, I can't even name one of them, all right? Like I can't even name one of them, all right? Let's think of the most powerful men and women 5,000-10,000 years ago. You can't really remember most of them. Like the greats, right? Like you can remember them, but really you're not going to remember most of them, right? Like does anybody really know who the emperor of Ethiopia was 4,000 years ago? Like, unfortunately, these great, powerful people in that time, they were very, very powerful and great. But honestly, like now you don't really remember them. So like knowing that, why are you going to let somebody's opinion now affect you if honestly, when you unfortunately pass away, they're not really going to remember you? So why are you going to get caught up in what they think about you? And that's one thing I always think of. Like if I have a troll or someone says something mean to me, I'm like, you're not going to remember me. Like in 300 years, like you're not going to be here to remember me, right? And it's only going to be the people and the loved ones that knew me that remember me, right? Like I hate to say this, but like I love my family, but like I don't know my great grandfather. Like I don't know who, I know the guy's name, but like I don't really know anything about him. And I don't have that true love that I have for maybe my grandfather, my great-grandfather, right? Or my great-great-great-grandfather, right? Like I don't have that connection. And honestly, in a family tree, a lot of it gets confused. Like unless you were a descendant of like Thomas Jefferson or like some great king or warrior, or queen, like you're not really going to be remembered. And that means you should stop getting caught up of what other people think of you, because what they really think about you doesn't matter at all. And I hate to say that. And it's kind of a weird day to say this on Thanksgiving, but like it's true that you shouldn't be caught up, because a lot of people will come here, they go to Thanksgiving and everyone's like, oh my gosh, you're doing that wholesaling thing. Oh, it's a scam or whatever. Like all these things will bring you down. And truthfully, I want you to remember this. Nobody in your family will remember if you lose. They're never going to hold it like they love you, right? But everybody will remember if you win. And I want that to sink in for a moment. We have a lot of people that became very successful in wholesaling watching this, right? But if you don't become successful, your family's not even going to remember that in like 5 years from now. Oh, we did that wholesaling thing and it didn't work. Like it's not a shame on the family. Like it's not a big shameful thing, right? Like you can't knock somebody for trying something and not becoming successful at it. Like you can't. And it's in that trying that is actually very noble and honorable, right? But if you do win, if you do succeed and you do well, you will be remembered forever, right? Because that will change your entire life. You don't have to work that 9-to-5 job anymore. Make more money than you can ever imagine. You become wildly successful, right? You live the life of your dreams. Like that will be remembered, right? By your family and everyone, right? And so just remember, like, if you lose, you ain't gonna be remembered. And if you win, you will be remembered. But like at the end of it, like you gotta live your own life. And if you don't live your own life, it won't pan out very well, right? And so we kind of talk to ourselves, what's the price of success, right? And when I think about the price of success, I think of wholesaling real estate. And it's a weird thing to say, but wholesaling real estate is a zero-sum game. To what is given, one is earned. And to what is earned, something was given. And if you think about this for a second, and you really think hard about this, like really, really hard, to gain something, especially in real estate investing, wholesaling houses, all these things, something had to be given up. And it's a sad truth, but it's anything in life. If I go spend an hour working out, I technically take an hour away from spending time with family. Maybe we work out with family, that's great, but like something is given, something's earned. Like if I eat something healthy, I don't get to enjoy something yummy. And if I eat something yummy and delicious, I'm giving away something that could be healthy for me, right? Like everything is a push and pull. Something can be something and something can be something else, right? Oh, I spend an hour watching a TV show, I could be working out. I'm working out, I could be enjoying myself. I could be spending time with family. Like everything in life here is a balance, right? But for wholesaling, it's a very, very, very clear-cut zero-sum game, which means if I actually have to go out here and become successful, I'm going to have to give something in return. There's going to have to be something that is given out. And this isn't going to be the end of the world. This is not going to be the worst thing in the world. But like you think of any noble pursuit in life, becoming very successful, changing the world, giving back to the community, all this stuff, something is given to do that, right? And in everything that is actually worth it, it's all going to take a lot of stress, a lot of agony, everything, right? So I got some comic books right here, right? Like I got a bunch of comic books here too. And like you look at these, right? So you look at we got Punisher, Ghost Rider, Wolverine's here. I got some old Spider-Mans, right? You think of like every superhero story, right? Every single, like this is fantasy land, but like you look at every single superhero, they all had to suffer to save the world, or they had to go through some crazy agony or arc. That's how stories are written, right? To do a point to save everyone, right? Like, I mean, everyone knows Avengers Endgame, right? Like, there's a lot of crazy stuff that happened in that movie, right? Like, it's very sad. But to create the arc of saving the world, quote unquote, you had to give stuff up. And, you look at pretty much any story, or even look at real life, right? Like World War II, to win it, a lot of stuff had to be given out, right? So you look at wholesaling real estate, the question is, what has to be given? What is the sacrifice for success? And you really got to look at it. And honestly, the truth is, I found you have to trade legitimately just sacrifice, hard work, and commitment. That's what it takes. That is the price of success for wholesaling real estate. And it might not seem like much what I'm saying here, but the price of hard work, it's hard work. It's pretty simple, right? Like you have to work hard. And a lot of people, they work in jobs, but it's not hard work. It's maybe very manual. Maybe it's the same monotonous thing every day. It's not considered hard. some work is very hard, right? Like I know a lot of construction guys, linemen, like it's hard work, but there's other things that like aren't hard, and it's going to take a lot of hard work, right? You have to trade what we call sacrifice, and sacrifice is a lot of definitions, but the best definition of sacrifice is giving something up for something, right? And like I've said before, to give up something delicious for something healthy or vice versa and everything around that, right? And what I mean by sacrifice is you're going to have to sacrifice most likely time to get into wholesaling when you work a full-time job. And I definitely gave the sacrifice, like, right? So my first basically 2.5, 3 years of wholesaling, I was working 12, 13, 14-hour days. And I sacrificed a lot of free time. A lot of time I could spend with friends and family and enjoying myself and, you know, my youth as a kid. But I gave that sacrifice for 3 years. So for the next 80, 70, 60 years, I can do those things. I spent 3 years so I could spend the next 60 years of my life living the life that I wanted, right? And that was a trade-off. That was a trade that I thought was a pretty good trade. And that trade worked out very, very well for me, right? Like it gave me years of extra time. Like probably if I add on years I could spend with family because I'm not working a 9-to-5 job, probably extra 10, 15 years. So I spent 3 years to get 15, 20 back. That's good ROI, right? And you know, the mental stress of money, right? Like that was a sacrifice I was willing to take. Most people aren't willing to take that sacrifice, and that's okay. But for the crazy few that do, it works out. You look at the top entrepreneurs of all time, they all had to put that sacrifice in. And I'm not telling you to go abandon your kids or something to go work, but like it's going to take some sacrifice. And anything that is great, anything that is earned, you have to give for it. And I think we all know that. But like I just want people to understand that. That's what's going to take a lot of success for you, right? So the next question here, the next thing is to get results that others don't, you have to do what others won't. So to do what others, so you have to do what others won't so you can get results that others won't, which basically means from there, so I'm butchering that Inky Johnson, Jerry Rice quote, but like if you want to do what other people can't do, you have to do what they won't do, which basically means if everyone in my family has never made over 100K in a year and they work a regular 9-to-5 job or they work a regular job, and I'm going to have to most likely do something that they were not willing to do to get the results that they never even could, which might be starting that wholesaling business, trying for dollars, cold calling probates, texting some pre-foreclosures. Like it really could be anything, but just taking that little risk will help everything. And I'm not saying wholesaling real estate is zero risk, because the risk factor in wholesaling real estate is actually on the time spent, not the money, because wholesaling real estate gets started with no money at all. So therefore, what you're spending, so like you look at all these businesses, this is kind of funny because all the Amazon FBA, Shopify, Forex, gurus have all kind of left, right, with the economy. And it's kind of funny. And what's left is a lot of these legitimate businesses, right? And the funny thing about all those crazy little side hustle type businesses is you have to pour 3, 4, 5 grand in Facebook ads and automation and all this crazy stuff to actually get going on that side hustle, right? And that's really the payment, right? You have to pay money. That's the big sacrifice there. The big sacrifice in wholesaling is not that. The biggest sacrifice is the time and the hard work, because wholesaling is a lot harder work than those things. But the peak is way better in wholesaling because you create a consistent business where you don't have to work in it anymore, and you don't have to pour a bunch of money into it. And you can really go from 0 to 1,000, 1,000 to 10, 10 to 100, 100 to 1,000,000, right? That's the point of this business. So when I talk about sacrifice, you're not sacrificing money. Now, you can spend some money, right? Like that's always a thing you can do. But really what you're truly sacrificing in this business is your time. And there's a lot of mental anguish and stress that comes with this business. But if you can know how to harness it and actually do it and really have fun while you're wholesaling, you will become successful. And that is truly the price of success. And the price to get what others won't, you have to do what others don't. That is the point. And one thing I can tell you guys is I know we live in a grind mindset, but like, just understand this. You don't need to work 14 hours a day to become successful. Like you don't have to do what I do is crazy, but remember me, I had no kid. I had no kids, right? I'm not married. Like I don't have these crazy commitments. You know, I was like 17 years old. Okay. Like, oh no, my boss might be mad that I'm 5 minutes late to my bag boy job, right? So you got to understand that, like, you don't have to work 14 hours like I was. Okay. I mean, honestly, if you can really commit, and this is what I'm not saying this to hype someone up or give you any false pretexts as to what wholesaling real estate's about, but truthfully, like 100%, I can tell you this. If you can commit to, I'm butchering this here, but like 10 to 15 hours a week, like that's really what I'm asking. If you have no money at all, 10 to 15 hours a week, going through freewholesaling.com and really committing to it, I can tell most people watching this right now, that's all you really need to do. Like that's truthfully, like that's all you really got to do to get your head start in this business, and then maybe get some money, get some paid lists, getting a little more up on there. But really, that's what it's going to take, right? And I truly believe so many wholesalers watching this video truly believe that like they have to go grind forever and do, like, it's not about that, right? And the one thing I could tell you is it's consistent action that helps you out, right? And so what I can tell you, the secret formula to becoming successful here is just having a disciplined schedule of income producing activities. And this is for life in general as an entrepreneur. Like, this isn't even about wholesaling for a second. In any business you run or anything you do, if you can just have a disciplined schedule of income producing activities, that will make you successful. Because you look at most wholesalers in your market, they are not willing to have a disciplined schedule of income producing activities. And if you are willing to have a consistent schedule of income producing activities, marketing, talking to sellers, making offers, if you just have a disciplined schedule of this, when I say 10, 15 hours a week, 3 hours a day, 2 hours a day, right? Like, if you can discipline it every single day, you do well. So I'm hungry. So what I'll tell you is I will give you a breakdown of what I mean. What I mean by this is like wholesaling, okay? Is it better to eat 14,000 calories in one day and not eat for 6 days the rest of the week? Or is it better to eat 2,000 calories every single day? I will tell you, you will be a lot more enjoyable if you eat 2,000 calories every single day for 7 days than eating 14,000 calories once a day and then you don't eat for six days straight. It is terrible. It's like drinking 5 gallons of water a day and not drinking water for 5 days. Like, it's like, it's a minute point, right? It's like it's literally out here like working out 10 hours in one day and not working out for 2 weeks. Like, it makes, like, that is not how you actually make gains when you're working out, right? That's not actually how you go out here and you actually start eating right? Like, you can't eat all your healthy food at once and then think you're going to become successful. That's not a thing, all right? You have to consistently do it every single day. And then, like, you can't keep that habit up of like doing 14,000 calories, right? Like, that's not how it works. But if you do want to become successful, you're going to have to actually go out here and do it every single day and really do the thing you have to do every single day, right? Like, doing it all at once, that's not how you actually get real good work in. Like, the best work I found in wholesaling is done blocks. And these are blocks of 2 or 3 hours, quick little break, doing something else, and then back to 3 hours, like 3 or 4 of those. That's really where I found the best success in my work. Biggest block I ever did was 5 hours when I was cold calling, but that's pretty much it. Like, there's really not that much to it except taking consistent action and consistent schedule. But I feel like I really needed to really share a lot of people this information. I don't talk about it too much, and I wish I talked about it more. So that's why I want to have this video today.